Hey guys, welcome back to NFT Inspo. For today's video, we are going to show you how to fix Shopify bug. So if you're interested, let's start the tutorial. Well, in this case, you might be wondering, how do you fix a Shopify bug? Well, the truth here is there are going to be a lot of bugs that you might encounter with using Shopify here. But the thing here is there are going to be some certain apps and settings that you might have changed that would affect your store. Like sometimes your store would be broken and some elements will not be showing. We'll be giving you some tips here on possibly fixing your problem. So first things first is you have to ensure that you didn't tamper with the actual code of the website unless you know what you're doing. So usually when you go to online store here and clicking on the three-dotted icon on your team, so we have customize here. So whenever you click on three-dot icon here, you have the option that says edit code. So sometimes whenever you change a few things on the code of your website and you're not aware that changing those would actually directly affect your website, well, unfortunately, the changes that you did would actually affect the website itself, which is something really unfortunate, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So the best tip that we could give you here is to backtrack what you changed. Like for example, if you added some elements in here, make sure to remove that, and hopefully that would actually fix most of the issues if you added anything on your code. Now, another thing that you could visit here is going to be your settings. So your settings here, when we go to settings here, especially if you're having problems with your domain or notifications or your templates that you have, settings is going to be your best friend here. Like for example, when we go to, let's just say we want to go to domains. So domains, this is where you'll be able to basically set up your domain and a specific website or domain for your website. Which is in this case, if you're having problems with your domain or you're unable to access the actual website, well, typically it's mostly because of your domain. So in this case, make sure that it's actually properly set up. Make sure to visit your provider or your domain provider here to make sure things are actually working. But in this case, if this is the first time that you're setting up domain and you're unable to visit or basically open your website, when most likely the problem stuff is going to be domain, then in this case you might need to visit the actual provider or assistance or support from that provider to possibly fix this issue, because there are going to be different steps for different websites or provider for domain. So in this case, getting assistance from them is the best course for you. Now, another thing that you could check here is going to be your payments. Now, if your website is not up to date to its payments, like for example you haven't updated, or let's just go to billing here. Instead of payments, we want to go to billing here, especially if you haven't, like for example, you haven't updated your payment method. For example, your shop is due on a specific date and you haven't updated your payment methods, you're having problems, and most likely your website would actually be in a sleep mode. Like for example, you won't be able to access it, especially if you haven't paid your billing cycle. So it is recommended that you update your payment method here as well. Now, if you're having problems with your payments, you go to payments here, which in this case, the way for your customers to actually receive or to pay for the products that they'll be buying. Now, setting this up is really, really important, especially if you want to receive your funds. Now, also, we have a section for notifications. Like, for example, you're having problems with your emails or notifications, customers relying on specific email sending. This is where you'll be able to customize them. For example, when you go to customer notification here, we have order confirmation. You have the option to edit code or even send a test message. This is what's going to look like. So this is going to be the order confirmation for your customer. So I also have the SMS here if you want to send that. But yeah, so another thing that you need to check here generally is going to be your apps. Like for example, your website is working properly and suddenly it doesn't because you recently installed an app, then most likely that app is the cause of that issue. So some apps that is in Shopify would actually cause a lot of problems, especially if they're not compatible with other apps in your store already. So in this case, to manage that, you just need to go settings at the bottom left, and from here you want to go to the section for apps and sales channel. From here, you need to look for the app that you just recently downloaded and just click on the three-dot icon here and just click on uninstall. Now, typically uninstalling the app itself would generally solve the problem itself, because in this case, you're removing the added app before the actual problem occurred. So if that fixes that, it means that the problem itself is the app that you're installed and it's not compatible with already existing apps in your store, which is something unfortunate, and that happens to other or some users if there's installing a lot of apps. Also, installing a lot of apps in your website could actually slow it down, so make sure to tone it down whenever you're installing apps here. Make sure that you're only installing the most necessary or the necessary apps for your web store. But yeah, so those are the things that you need to check here and to possibly fix your issues in Shopify, and that's about it. So hopefully this video was able to help you. Like and subscribe to NFT Inspo. Thank you for watching.